Welcome. Today, we're going to jump right in and decode the whole confusing world of U.S. taxpayer IDs. You know, it can feel like you're staring into this alphabet soup of acronyms. SSN, ITIN, ATIN, but don't worry, we are going to make it all make sense. So let's start with the big question, right? What is the real difference between all these? You've probably heard these terms thrown around, but what do they actually mean? And more importantly, which one applies to you or your family? Stick around because by the end of this, you're going to know exactly how to tell them apart and what each one is really for.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to navigate what I like to call the tax ID maze. Then, we'll dive deep into the Social Security Number, or SSN, and its counterpart, the ITIN. After a little head-to-head showdown, we'll cover some special cases and then wrap it all up. Sound good? Let's go.
Okay, so the U.S. tax system, it can seriously feel like a maze sometimes. And to get through it, you need the right key. Well, your tax ID number is that key. But here's the thing, not all keys are created equal. Each one, whether it's an SSN or an ITIN, unlocks very different doors.
Let's start with the big one, the one most people are familiar with, the Social Security Number, the SSN. In our maze analogy, this isn't just any key. Oh no, this is the master key, and for a very good reason. So what is it officially? Well, the Social Security Administration issues the SSN to U.S. citizens and certain residents. And yeah, its main job is to track your income for benefits, but as we're about to see, it has become the absolute central pillar of identification for, well, pretty much everything in the U.S. And just look at how much this master key unlocks. It goes way, way beyond just taxes. I mean, think about it. Opening a bank account, checking your credit score, getting a driver's license, even enrolling in Medicare someday. All of these doors are opened with your SSN. It really is the ultimate multi-purpose ID.
Okay, this is a fantastic little tip. Seriously, commit this one to memory. If you're ever wondering what kind of number you're looking at, here is the easiest clue in the world. A Social Security number is a 9-digit number that will never start with the number 9. That one little detail is a dead giveaway.
And here's where that power really hits home, right in your wallet. When tax time rolls around, having an SSN is the only way you can claim some of the most valuable tax credits out there, like the child tax credit and the earned income credit. This kind of financial access is a huge part of what makes the SSN the true master key.
So, if the SSN is the master key, what happens if you can't get one but you still have to file your taxes? Well, that's where our next key comes in, the ITIN. And as its name suggests, this one is pretty much a tax-only key.
And here it is, the perfect flip side to our last tip. If an SSN never starts with a 9, an ITIN, well, it always does. You see a 9-digit tax ID that starts with a 9, you're looking at an ITIN. It's really that simple.
Let's check out the official definition. It's a 9-digit number, sure, but notice it's issued by the IRS, not the Social Security Administration. And that last part is everything. Used only for federal tax filing purposes. That is its one and only job.
Now this next point is a huge one. It's a hard and fast rule. You can have an SSN or you can have an ITIN, but you can never, ever have both at the same time. If someone with an ITIN becomes eligible for an SSN, they have to stop using that ITIN the moment the SSN is issued. It's a one-way street, no exceptions. Okay, now that we've got the basics down for our two main keys, let's put them side by side to really drive home the differences. It's time for the SSN versus ITIN showdown.
This comparison really lays it all out, doesn't it? Just look at these key questions. Can you legally work in the U.S.? With an SSN? Yes. With an ITIN? No. Can you get Social Security benefits? SSN? Yes. ITIN? No. The pattern is crystal clear. The SSN unlocks broad economic participation and benefits, while the ITIN has one single, very specific function, letting you file your federal taxes. That's it.
So what if you do need an ITN? How does that even work? Well, there are basically 4 main paths you can take. You always start by filling out Form W-7 from the IRS. After that, you can mail it in with your tax return, you can get help from a certified acceptance agent, or you can even apply in person at a designated IRS center.
Okay, we've covered the two heavyweights, SSN and ITIN. But what about other situations? There are a couple of other special keys out there for very specific circumstances. Let's look at one for adoptions, and then another for a truly unique and tough situation.
So, meet the ATIN, or the Adoption Taxpayer Identification Number.
This is a temporary key. It's designed for adoptive parents who are in the middle of a domestic adoption. It basically lets them claim the child on their tax return while they're waiting for everything to be finalized and for an SSN to be issued.
And the key word here is definitely temporary. An ATIN is really just a bridge to get a family to the point where an SSN is issued. It's usually valid for up to 2 years. And hey, here's a familiar clue. Just like an ITN, an ATN also starts with the number 9.
Now, this next slide addresses a very difficult and sensitive situation that, unfortunately, some families have to face. What happens if a child is born and passes away in the same year, before an SSN could ever be issued? Can they still be claimed as a dependent?
And the answer is yes, you can. The IRS has a specific procedure for this exact situation. You don't need a tax ID number. Instead, you have to paper file the return, you attach a copy of the child's birth certificate, and you write the word died on the correct line for that dependent.
All right, we have made it through the maze. We've looked at the master key, the tax key, and even the special keys. So let's do a quick final recap to really lock in everything we've just learned. So here are your keys, all on one ring. The SSN is the master key for citizens and residents, unlocking work and benefits. The ITIN is the tax-only key for those who can't get an SSN, and it always starts with a 9. And finally, the ATIN is that temporary key for adoptions, which also starts with a 9.
We wanted to end our recap on this point because honestly, if you remember just one rule from today, make it this one. The second an SSN is issued, the ITIN is no longer valid.